Welcome back to MVP Real Estate Podcast, Season 3, Episode 23, with Robert Chiang from the San Francisco area. He is a wealth of knowledge, been doing this for years, written books, public speaker. He's done, I thought was super cool, the unique part of him starting in commercial real estate. Not many people jump into the commercial right away. And he explains in the show it's just much bigger. So there's an upside and a downside to it. But I thought it was very unique starting the commercial space. That I can obviously see how it helped him through his career. So very interesting story. Awesome guy. We link stuff to the show notes so you can get a hold of him, read some of the content that he's put out. But a very, very knowledgeable guy on real estate. It was very cool. Let's bring him on. Well, Rob, thanks for coming here today. Thanks for being with us. I start out the show the same way, just so the audience get a good feel of who you are and where you came from. So if you can give us like 30 second to a minute, if it's longer, that's fine. Kind of an elevator speech of who you are.
So I'm Rob Chiang. I'm from the Bay Area near San Francisco, California. And in regards to the real estate space, I started off as a commercial real estate broker selling apartments, triple nets, fast food, retail buildings like that. And then I was good at that for about 3 years. One whole year I didn't get paid. And that was 2007, the economic downturn.
Yeah.
So I decided I didn't want to work without getting paid. So I was on a full commission schedule. So I quit that job and decided, hey, honey, let's go start flipping houses. We never done it before, but it looks like fun, right?
Yeah.
So did that next, professionally speaking. And then that transitioned to me becoming a licensed general contractor. And then from there on, I started doing maintenance for apartment owners just from my Craigslist ads. And then I hop and skip to be a maintenance manager for some client, my very first client. And then that turned on to me being an apartment manager. And coming full circle, one of my mentors who has since passed, being an apartment broker, I actually ended up buying a building from him. And, I had no idea that all these footsteps along the way had total synergy to all of them. But, I was just wandering through the woods. Somehow I ended up here writing a book and being a coach and being a speaker in the United States, traveling all over the place. So I'm here to show everybody that you can be an idiot and still get everything done.
I have that feeling every day. It's awesome. No, and it's kind of cool. So you started out as a commercial broker, and I think you're the first guest we've had that started in the commercial side, because obviously there's the delineation between residential and commercial. Yeah. I started residential, and that's kind of where we invest too. Do you like that you started in commercial?
I do. I grew up around apartments, and when I was put into this brokerage house, it was flooded with apartment brokers. So what they did, and I was so young and naive at the time, I didn't know how to speak up for what I wanted to do. It's all hindsight, right?
Yeah.
Basically, they put me in place, like directing the troops, like, okay, we want to conquer this territory and this product type. So we're going to put you in this foreign land. I have no idea where I'm going. Like, I'm going to what's called the East Bay, San Leandro, Hayward, Fremont. I've never been to these places. And they want me to sell, list retail property and gas stations and stuff like that. I'm clueless, right? So like, just get tossed in the fire. And that's what I did. So I'm cold calling like 700 calls a week. I'm door knocking. I'm getting my, face slammed by the front door. I'm doing everything I can, entertaining clients. It was going well. Until, the mortgage CMBS crumbled. That's my excuse,
No, it's there's something to say about getting into the sales side of it, because I started as a real estate agent too, and I kind of became numb to the door slams, because you get the door slammed, you get no's, you get kicked. And you're like, all right, well, there's the next call. Because eventually, and it kind of, in my head, I wasn't really selling a product, I was trying to find somebody that wanted this product. It wasn't like I had to force you or convince you to buy it. Through enough calls, I was going to find somebody that's looking for what I have.
Right.
And it kind of took the pressure down. But I feel like the commercial space, and I haven't dabbled much in the commercial space, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the commercial space is like the Wild West of real estate. A lot fewer, I guess, guidelines, but a lot more rules and regulations to follow.
I would say that everything is just magnified on the commercial side. There's kind of like when you're in the residential space, it's kind of there's a mystique around the commercial side. Like, oh, these buildings are huge, the fees are huge, the clients are not emotional. I mean, honestly, none of that's true. It's just a myth. Like,
Yeah.
they're all just so magnified. Like, if your personality, I'll just tell you a quick story. Sat down with a super wealthy guy. I'm not going to say any names, okay? And then I'm on the seller side, and they're coming in. The seller wants 20 million plus, right? And we're giving them a quick tour. And the buyer side, we're just having a chat. There's no paperwork. We're having a chat. Sits down, and he says, all right, well, you know what? I crunched numbers. I'm gonna offer you guys 14, right? Obviously the seller's upset. And we're talking about a 5-minute conversation. Okay. It's like, this is blowing my mind. Like, why aren't we doing this in writing and like taking it more seriously? No, just like a quick chat in the building at the old table, like the employees left behind. And the seller side says, you know what? Basically, F off, get the F out of here. We're done. I was like, what? No counteroffer? Nothing? Like, no consideration?
Wow.
That's strange.
Yeah. Did that end up going anywhere, or was that really the end of the road for the buyer?
It's on pause right now.
Okay.
That deal's on pause. Like, there's just, I don't know, there's this notion that everyone in commercial real estate's on the golf course and they're making deals, all these off-market deals. But there's plenty of on-market deals. It's just a smaller fishbowl with bigger fish.
Yes.
Right? It's like the same people that I know from when I started like 20 years ago, they're still in the game. And that's why it's so critical to never burn a bridge. Always be grateful. You might run into this person. I've run into people at the building departments when I was pulling permits, when I was like a handyman, you know. Then I ran into people at open houses. It's wild. That's all I'm saying is like, you should thank everybody who's trying to help you, even if maybe as a realtor you have to pay them a lot of your split, you know.
Yeah. And about burning bridges, it's real because you always come back and you always connect with the other person. And you said pulling permits and not burning bridges. Inspectors are a hard person to not burn a bridge with because sometimes they're not always on your side, not always the most willing to work with you on things. But you got to remain professional to a certain point.
Totally. When it comes to building inspectors, code enforcement, fire marshals, I just lay down on the bed and say whatever you want. Let's do this. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be so much quicker, and they're going to remember you like, oh, this guy totally cooperated. Like, he wanted, like, hey, I wanted 10 GFCI plugs in this unit that had no ground cables, and he was fine with it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of stuff we have to deal with up in California.
Really?
Yeah. Or like, oh yeah, he was totally fine. We had to spray orange foam on the whole freaking carport, and he was fine. He got it done in a day, and I came back. You know, if you drag your feet, that's when they, at least around here, that's when they class your building differently. There's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. You know, the more unfavorably they view you, they're gonna treat you like a criminal, basically, like you're trying to be a slumlord. So if you have a good track record, they don't bother you. You can literally self-certify a little piece of paper in the mail. I'm not saying just be dishonest, but just the fact that they trust you now means they don't even bother you anymore, you know?
Yeah. And that's the tier system? Is that like
tier system.
Is that a California thing? Because I know like through real estate investors, you talk to them, they talk about like A class, B class properties.
So
Is
that's
that kind of
macro.
what is that?
So A, B, C class, that's macro.
Okay.
That's just talking about grading the property as a whole.
Yes.
You know, and then that you can grade the location A, B, C as well.
Okay. But no correlation with the tier system that you're talking about? Because I haven't heard of that tier system. So I'm just trying to connect it in my brain.
It's like a local legislation that we have.
Okay. I gotcha.
Not sure
Which
if
is
it's,
probably why I haven't heard it, because I've done no real estate in California.
yeah, yeah. It may just be the Bay Area.
Yeah, could be. Um, you made a good point about in the commercial side, there's a smaller pool. Because obviously with the residential, it's I think a little bit easier for a barrier of entry on
Yeah,
that side. This commercial side, for people that want to get in and buy apartment buildings, like we've been looking for apartment buildings out here
yeah.
for months, trying to get in contact with sellers is very difficult. We found like the sales cycle is a lot longer. It's
Yeah.
not like, okay, I want to sell my house, I want to put a sign up, get an agent, and we're good. The people that own those commercial buildings have thought about selling their buildings for years beforehand, in some occasions. But what would you, I mean, what would you give for people that are trying to get into that commercial space, getting in contact with either people trying to sell or the brokers in that commercial space? What is a good first step for those people to get into?
Well, I think just the key, I always like to talk about outcomes when I'm doing trainings or you know, speaking events. I always want to talk about outcomes, like why are the attendees here? Why are the viewers listening to this podcast? So on that point, the outcome, if I'm a seller, when I am a seller on commercial property, my outcome is to either grow my net worth on the next transaction, grow my door count, grow my cash flow. Right? If I'm trading horizontally on any of those points, I need to make sure one of those outcomes is increasing, right? So how do I do that? By identifying the up leg in the 1031 before I'm listing the down leg, right? That's the hugest rejection reason for any commercial listing is that, yeah, selling is super easy, but how are you going to get my next deal in 45 days?
Yes.
Let's lock it up now, and then I'll list with you. That's
Yes.
usually the response 50% of the time.
And with you being the broker, were you responsible for some of those clients to lock in that next property before you actually list their building? Was that on your shoulders to do?
I would say it's a lot easier just to show them a bunch of deals and say, hey, A, B, or C might work for you, but maybe it's not around in 45 days. Hey, unless you have the cash to put up a non-refundable right now and wait, otherwise you just have to have a little faith and trust that there's going to be another one out there. So you just kind of lay it out there, and if they just see some options, then sometimes they're comfortable just rolling with it.
Yeah. And for people that aren't familiar with the 1031, Rob's talking about a tax deferral strategy where if you sell an asset, it was a 45-day window to identify your next property, and then you need to purchase within,
6 months.
was it 90?
6 months total.
Okay.
Close to close.
Okay. And that defers your capital gains from sale to purchase. So it is a very, very like timely and precise process that you need to follow. We actually had somebody on here that handles 1031s exclusively. That is what she does.
Yeah.
She's out of Chicago. So got to learn a lot about those. Haven't been able to do one yet though. So,
Well, yeah, it can be daunting, especially I think the key is once your down leg is contingency free, then you can build in like an extension. Like in the initial contract, you gotta do this up front though. Let's say the escrow is 45 days, then you put in there, seller has option to extend escrow 30 days, maybe an additional 15 days after contingencies are removed, say with, you know, by the halfway point in the escrow period. So that way you could have up to 45 extra days just to go shopping for the next property. You know, that's what most people do. They start making offers when they're contingent free on their down leg, you know, so that they're already hitting the ground running. So they're
Yeah.
getting bonus shopping days. That's what most people do.
Bonus shopping days. I like that.
Like there's like 45 more Black Fridays.
Right. Hopefully
I
just as
like
good of a
that.
deal though.
Well, that's the kicker, right?
Right.
Either doing one of three things, increasing your net worth, increasing your unit count, or increasing your cash flow. You know, you can't do it all in this kind of market.
Yeah. That is what we're finding. And I couldn't even imagine out in California, because the prices out there are significantly higher than Wisconsin. I think
lot
our
less.
average home sale, I just got an email. I think our average home sale was $385. And I would imagine that's not even close to your median out there in California.
Well, I don't know about the whole state, but in the Bay Area, it's about 1.2 average.
Yeah.
$1,000 a square foot on average.
Whoa.
It's been like that
That's,
for like 10 years already.
yeah, I know. And I'm trying to think of, like, as an investor, how do I make numbers work with that? And I feel like a lot of people out there go for the appreciation rather than the cash flow.
So that's true to a certain degree only in the beginning phase, right? So in the four, 3, 2, and 1 unit rental properties, it's absolutely an appreciation play because the cash flow is not there. So you might be bleeding like $2,000, $3,000 a month just to hold on to this property in hopes that it might increase 20, 30, 40% in 5 years, right? And then you have to factor that into your forecast, right? To see if it's worth it. To make sure you can sustain it. You definitely don't want to, you know, make your first rental purchase and then get a foreclosure. That would be disaster.
I know.
You got to budget.
And when you're speaking, and obviously you've got your books behind you, I want to ask you about those. Do you talk to investors who are, I mean, the mom and pop shops, or the investor who's just starting, who's out in California looking at these house prices,
Yeah.
Maybe not very liquid where they can go out and buy an apartment complex. They have to start in that duplex.
Right.
Do you walk them through, or do you talk about how to manage those and how to prep yourself for a non-cash flowing property?
Everyone that's buying a duplex, triplex, fourplex for the first time right now in this market is not going to be cash flowing.
Yeah.
Unless they put 60, 70% down. Right? I mean, you usually have to put 40% down right now at a minimum.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. No more 30% down, no more 25% down. Those days are over unless you hard money. And then you're paying like 10, 11, 12% with 3 points.
Yeah.
Makes no sense whatsoever.
I know it's tough.
I was at a conference and there was a panel, like 2 billionaires on this panel, and they were just saying how right now we're in a little bit of a pause, like a little pigtail, you know, it's like a pause. We're on a pause for about 2, 3 years. And they think within another 3 years, we're going to see that uptick again in values. So it's kind of weird because San Francisco and San Jose, they used to be opposite. San Francisco was incredibly high on value compared to San Jose, which is a little suburb. And I mean, it's kind of flipped from metro being higher value and the suburbs being lower. Now it's the opposite. And I don't know if you're seeing trends out there or anybody else, you know, in any other region, but I think it has to do with crime, a lot of crime.
Yep.
The investor just has to be prepared to weather the storm, because the fact is you make the most money when everyone else is scared.
Yeah. Isn't that Buffett who said that? When everybody runs, he invests.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's been a weird, because out here the suburbs are getting a lot more inflated. The city's kind of taking its downturn. And it's been weird because we've had a lot of the bigger investors who have the capital have been trying to buy up all of these properties, and it's harder for the people who are starting. This is a very hard market for people that are starting. Can it be done? Yes. But like you said, you have to be able to know your numbers and make sure that you can weather the storm of, okay, if I bought this single family home and I basically had to eat $2,000 a year because it didn't cash flow, or $3,000 a year, what would I make in the 5 years of it appreciating just within the neighborhood that it's been in? And that's kind of like the stage 2, because when I got in, we were in, was it 2018, 19? We were in a market where I could find something that cash flowed like immediately. And this is the first, I guess, the first market that we've been in where it has flipped upside down, where things aren't cash flowing as simple. It's not a buyer's market anymore. You're like fighting for people for deals. It's crazy.
Yes. There's still competition. I mean, the interest rates suck, to put it plainly.
Yep.
The big institutions are just waiting to see if this is the new normal. If this is the new normal, then there's going to be more listings, more inventory.
Yeah.
That's the sentiment right now. And then the builders are pulling the plug on a lot of projects too.
Yes.
Because they're looking 5 to 7 years out, and there's absolutely no profit at current numbers. They're actually losing money on the new units being built, which is wild, right? So
I know. And out here we're getting newer like HOA subdivisions, and those are still I mean, I can't speak to their numbers, but they're still building those. But other than new builds, it's been hard to come by out here.
Inventory is tough. But honestly, you can't go wrong with, you talked about classes earlier, Class B apartments and Class B location.
Yep.
Middle of the road is always going to be desirable.
Yeah.
Right. Class A might have some problems when the economy gets rough.
Like right now, I'm sure Class A is hurting.
Yeah, and Class C, you just don't want to own. But it's okay to start there, honestly. It's fine.
Yeah. And I mean, that's where we started was actually like DC, because we would buy properties from an auction, which we bring up auction now in competition. I think the last auction we went to, there was 2 houses up and there was about 20 people in the waiting room.
Yeah, it was a lot.
So talk about competition, like there's not a lot out there.
Well, it's just everybody's looking for a better deal because they know they have to compete with interest rates and inventory at higher prices than they're willing to pay right now. So they're trying to find more of a margin area, I think.
I think the off-market deals make so much more sense now, but even those are not. They used to be really, really sweet deals like 3 years ago. So many off-market deals.
Yeah.
It just boils down to relationships, building relationships over the years to where maybe somebody can trade horizontally, but at least they'll be trading with you,
Yeah. Yeah. So do you go after a lot of off-market deals? Is that kind of you have a personal portfolio, correct?
Yeah.
So what have you seen or strategies that you've used for you to find properties that either grow your net worth, grow your doors, or grow your cash flow?
Go for the off markets. I mean, I don't care about my broker's license when it comes to buying property, because that's absolutely priorities have flipped. I just need to get the best deal. I need to get the best deal. Even when it comes to like getting my clients the best deal, I don't care if I'm the agent. I can just refer them, or I can just send them to go get the deal, because the deal is more important than anything. You make all these plans, it's kind of like, oh, I'm gonna buy this house, I'm gonna remodel the kitchen, I'm gonna add an ADU, I'm gonna put a new roof on, I'm gonna, put sliding doors, I'm gonna dig a pool in the backyard. You don't even own a house yet. Come on now.
We'll put the cart before the horse.
Yeah, let's just get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, is get the asset.
Yeah.
So who's holding the keys? Obviously, you probably have like 10 power brokers in every region, right? There usually isn't more than 10 power brokers. So what do? Cold call the power brokers. And what are the odds they're going to listen to you? If they never heard of you or your name, what are the odds? Probably very low, right?
Slim.
Okay, so maybe you go down to 10 to 30, the next ranking brokers. And you just tell them your story and you say, hey, I want to grow. Will you grow with me? I know I'm starting at a duplex, triplex, fourplex, but hey, do you have any listings cooking that maybe here's my pre-approval? I can just, get on board with you, and I will be loyal to you, and you can list them when I'm ready to sell. And I would like to, transact at least one buy, one sell with you every year. Are you interested? If I'm a junior broker, I'm like, dude, this sounds pretty good. Like, I got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And he wants to take me to lunch. Hey, I'm hungry. Let's go.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah,
said
we've
they
done
like
that.
to go golfing. Let's go golfing.
Let's go. Let's go golfing. Yeah, you can play golf. Let's go.
I can try to play golf. But
Yeah.
yeah, we've done the whole calls and invite to lunch, and like you're saying, that some of them don't respond back. I'm sure they've got deals going. But yeah, I think you're right. Trying to find the one broker, I guess, that will listen would be a very, very good start. And there's always like the fear of the rejection or the fear of not getting the response you want that kind of keeps you from doing it.
Well, yes. People either run to pleasure or run away from fear. And I have to say that everyone is in sales. Okay. Every job is a sales job. Whether you're trying to sell your kid that you need to eat broccoli, or they need to go to math tutoring so that they can blah blah blah, right? That's a sales call. Okay. Same thing with investment. You want to sell your tenant, oh, this is a place that you should live for the next 5 years because the washer and dryers are new, or whatever reason you give. That's a sales pitch.
Yeah.
Right? And then you pitch your lender, hey, you should lend me the money because me and you went golfing, remember? That's a sales pitch. So it's like you're selling the broker, the apartment broker, on your viability, that you're going to be a repeat client and you're going to be a good client and also generate them some income, right? There has to be a win-win. At the same time, generate wealth for you and your family, right? So be transparent, don't be slimy, don't try to talk to all their coworkers, because they're gonna say, hey, have you guys heard of Rob Chiang? They go, yeah, he just called me 2 minutes ago. What did he want? So it's like,
Yeah.
be strategic, but also be transparent. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Definitely. And those are awesome little nuggets of advice. Is that what is in, I'm seeing the passive wealth book behind you. Are those type of things that you have in your books that you've written? Those little like tips and tricks to how to get going?
So that book is focused on property management, basically.
Okay.
Broker owner running a property management firm. And that's 80% on property management, 20% on investing. But the next book that's coming out is mostly on investing.
Okay. And is that kind of those tips that you were just talking about? Like how to get going with investing or how to hold on to your investments?
So,
or both?
well, that book is mostly on property management, like how to be efficient and how to grow and scale your business.
Okay.
Like kind of letting go of being a control freak and learning how to delegate, how to trust other people so they can grow so you can grow. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all the workshops that we do, they all have different topics. And you can definitely get my book if you want, or you can just ask me. I'm on a lot of socials.
Yeah, I'm going to get your contact information. We'll put that in the show notes for people. We're going to link your book to the info as well at the end of the show. So yes, I will get that at the end of the show for sure. Is this, I don't want to ask you too much about your book you're writing. Are you obligated to speak on it, or are you trying to keep that kind of closed until it's out?
No, it's not secret. It's so like the first one I wrote was mostly on management and then just a little bit on investing. This next one's going to be mostly on investment.
Okay. In obviously you started with the commercial brokerage, you did flipping, then you did a lot of property management side. Is that what you, because you said you're a public speaker as well.
Yeah.
So are those the type of things you're talking about in your public speeches, that property management side of things?
So usually my audience is usually apartment owners, existing owners, or property management professionals or real estate professionals. That's usually who the audience is. It's not usually the general public.
Okay.
But that's what the social media is for, general public.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm sure the speaking about property management to those current owners, because I feel like there is a lot of owners out there that don't have the systems in place to make it easy. Like it took us a while. I was on spreadsheets, writing it on pads of paper, and then I was like, I finally need to get to Excel. And then I put on Excel, and I was like, yeah, this still is not cutting it, because there's so many reports that you need, like that are so fluent, and you need I don't know, you need recall data in some obscure way that I can't do with Excel. And until I actually bit the bullet to pay for these CRMs, it was kind of a guessing game, which is not a fun place to be in when you're trying to create wealth on that one.
They say, Tony Robbins says, if you're in your head, you're dead. So when everybody asks me a question, I said, I don't know. I don't remember anything. Just look at the software. It's all there.
Yeah. I'm glad you live by that, because that's where I'm at.
I cannot put things in my head. It's not big enough. It's tiny up there.
There are some impressive people out there, though, like Bigger Pockets. If you ever listen to their podcast, they'll bring investors on and they're like, oh, tell me about this deal you bought 5 years ago. And they're like, oh, we offered this amount and this is the cash flow down to like the dollar.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is impressive.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to deal making, of course, you remember those things. But as far as like my management portfolio, 400 units and so many owners, no, I don't know. I don't know what's going on a daily basis. I have no idea.
Yeah. And so your personal investments, are those all in California as well? Or do you diversify into like different states, municipalities? Where does that all take you?
I'm all about local. I'm personally on the local mantra. We had some out of state disasters I don't want to repeat. So
Oh no, I'm gonna have to ask you about one of those stories.
yeah, well, I like to stay local personally within 2 hour drive, just to keep it reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean, otherwise you're gonna have to get a property manager to take over that facility. And I'm sure for you running your own and managing your own, it'd be hard to hire out a third party when that's already what you do.
well, yeah, we've managed managers before. It's not a problem. It's just not yeah, a little bit less control, which is fine. But then the return better be high, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah, we bought 34 units and it's only an hour away. So we basically just hired new crew, and it took a couple months to get people we trust. You know, there's some trial and error, hire, fire, and trial and error. And so once we got some good people, then it's kind of like we have a new home, satellite home base, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So the trial and error leads me into, tell me one of these stories, one of these chaos stories, because these are always fun. People, I feel, have one hesitation of like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this, or I'm not going to invest because this always happens.
Yeah.
And things do happen. You get bad deals. We're flipping, well, we were going to flip a house. Municipality shot us down. Neighbors, community shot us down. It went south quickly. So now we're trying to renovate this old house and make something out of it. It was either sell it for a loss and get out, or buy and hold as we could flip it or renovate it, hold it for a few years, hope the appreciation would basically make us a profit. But we did have the ability to hold on and weather the storm to get through that. So bad things will happen. Not every deal is great. So can you speak to one of those bad ones? You don't have to mention names or areas, but
That's fine. I can tell you a couple. One that happened to me specifically. So everyone knows that business called WeWork, right? Just declared bankruptcy.
yeah.
It's kind of like the co-working space.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of derivatives not connected to WeWork, but copycats in the real estate space, in the residential space, that kind of split up homes and make maybe a 3-bedroom home into a 10 bed occupancy structure, right? So you might call it corporate living, you might call it boarding house, sure. So I was moving out of my personal home in Santa Clara, and I got an offer to rent from this company. which has since gone bankrupt and liquidated and all that stuff. And it was $500 per month more than a traditional renter, like a family, right? So we said, well, what the heck? Let's try it out. We've had some good experience in our portfolio with other businesses that have the same business model. Long story short, COVID came, bad timing. They stopped paying rent. They didn't pay rent for 6 months. They said we should just, forgive them for the rent. I'm like, okay, where does this forgiveness come from? My pocket, right?
Yeah.
And
because the bank doesn't forgive you.
exactly. Rent still due, like The Rock says. That's a t-shirt,
Rent is always due.
Mhm.
Always do. So I had 5 people occupying this 3-bedroom, and I set up a face-to-face meeting with them, a heart-to-heart. 4 of them moved out. One person, which I won't call any names, said she's not moving, period. She's comfortable here, blah, 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 whatever reasons. She moved in her family member. She moved in a bunch of cars. She moved in all her storage items, and she was digging her heels in, boy. So, of course, I talked to my attorney, eventually got her out because it was in my legal rights to go ahead and fill the remaining rooms, which I did. She didn't want any roommates. She wanted the place all to herself. And, eventually, when it was lunchtime in the kitchen, they said, hey, what's up? You're not paying your rent. What's going on here?
Yeah.
She got tired of the questions being asked, and she moved out. So that was one local horror story.
Yeah.
I was greedy, $500 a month more, and it backfired. That's the macro lesson here.
Yeah.
Ooh. Man, I always get really scared. I'm glad that it never happened to us about the COVID loss of rent where tenants don't pay. Because that was a very sticky situation. Like, what can I push on? What can I not? Like, is the municipality going to back me on a termination of the lease? Or is this protected because of the whole COVID situation that's going on?
We still have one tenant in Oakland who owes $45,000 just from their unit in back
And
rent.
still living there?
Yeah, because there's a huge backlog with the eviction attorneys in Oakland. It's kind of wild. Doesn't make any sense.
So what happens in that situation? I don't know if I can get into details on it, but so that person's still living there, owes 45, the tab keeps running. Are they working now? Are they working and not paying?
They're completely ghosting us. They won't talk to us in person, online, chat, whatever, text, nothing. They stay there, and we're just in line with with the eviction attorney.
Has there been I guess, a precedent set, or is it case by case? Like, do you think this is going to end well is this something you own or you manage for another owner?
Third party owner. So
okay.
we have to wait another 3 months to get them out.
Wow.
Probably the timeline. That's pretty normal.
I got you. In California is a tenant friendly state, right?
100%.
Yeah. So do you think this is going to end well? Or I guess you can't really speak on air. I don't know.
Do I think it's going to end well? Well, I mean, obviously they're eventually going to move out. I don't know when or what loopholes they're going to use, but hey, we'll see.
Do you think a portion of the money will be owed? Or is that...
There's a weird calculation. It's like up to May 1st, you can't collect anything. And then after that, they're liable. You can send them to collections, but
okay,
how much are you going to get in the end?
Yeah, that's true. Man, I hope that goes well. That's a sticky situation.
Yeah. Well, that's what you got to deal with. It's just like the worst case. Everyone else is a sweetheart, but then you have one person choose to be like that.
Yeah. And I'm sure you did all the tenant screening beforehand, and this is not something that was a foreseeable thing for that tenant.
No.
I'm imagining.
As a landlord, it feels like they're gaming the system, but you don't know because there's been zero communication.
Yeah.
Zero.
Oh, that's frustrating.
Zero stories, zero reasons. Nothing.
Frustrating.
So
I'm sure you're excited for 4 months from now when it's all over with.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. I mean, it's like
sure.
a corporate tenant I told you about. They paid rent perfectly on time for 6 months, and then it just slammed. Nothing. Like this guy that's going to get evicted, 45K back rent. He paid rent 1 month and then just stopped. So
That's
no idea.
That's bizarre. But we can't end on a down story. We have to end on a good one.
Yeah.
So what would you say is your best personal asset purchase?
So
Do you have like one that just is a sweet spot in your heart for what you bought? Even though no, real estate isn't an emotional deal, but one always sticks with an investor for some reason.
Real estate's full of emotion. I mean,
I know.
I used to think there's no emotion. There's so much emotion involved because that's how the big boys and girls have pride of ownership. They spend way too much money on their apartment complexes because it makes them feel good, right? Makes the profit feel bad, but makes them feel good when they roll up.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the second house that I purchased as an investment, I mean, when I was locked in, I started in 2017. It was actually just by word of mouth. I heard about this neighborhood. I had a client in Cupertino that I was managing their single family house for, and they mentioned, hey, did you hear about the Apple III campus getting built? They call it the flower because it looks like flower petals. It's like 4 flower petals. And I was like, no, I haven't heard about it. What's going on? I heard about the spaceship. No, that's not the spaceship. That's the headquarters of the spaceship. You're already too late there. All the houses are 2.5 million. Have you heard about the flower campus going in? It's right next to the Lowe's, like Lowe's hardware store.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, like I want to buy a house near there because it's not, there haven't been, I like Googled it, there's no articles about it, right? So I'm like, okay. I looked at the nearest neighborhood, it's only a quarter mile away because it's all industrial around there. So I picked one of the closest neighborhoods. I bought this little dumpy house for like 800K. And then
a dumpy house for 800K.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Whoa.
Very dumpy house. Fixed it up. I like to add like Ipe wood accents on the front. I mean, that's like Palo Alto style around here. You always try to make your little house look like 3 neighborhoods higher than you, right? So I did that, made like $500,000 profit on one little house. And from that house, I was able to refi that, buy another one, and sell it, cash out, and buy the house on the water that I live on today. So
nice.
Just one little dumpy house purchase off one little secret somebody told me in passing that I held on to and took action. Got to take action.
Yep.
I mean, that was so sweet, man. That was so sweet.
Yeah. No, it's great when you can find the one deal that kind of like projects where you're going to be or where you end up being in 10 years from then, not knowing where it would have came from. And it happens to be one deal that you catch wind of. Like that's special.
It's awesome. And I drive by that house sometimes too, because it's on this route. I said, I'm always grateful for that house. Like I'm always thankful I got that house and it went to a good family. It's like most people, when they move their personal home, like they list it, right? And then it's for sale. And escrow is how long?
Escrow from a home sale?
Yeah.
Are you like 2 weeks for insurance or for title?
It's like usually 2 to 4 weeks, right? And then you got to get out of there. You got to get out of there. So you're scrambling, you find to make an offer on your next place to live, right? We didn't have to do that. We had the luxury of just staying where we're at, buying the next house on the water, with the boat dock. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, like, I didn't think I would be able to do this.
Yeah.
That's my life goal, but it's like some crazy dream. No, it's a reality because we're able to invest and not necessarily see how far it would take us at the time, but just trust the process. Trust the negative cash flow on the first 2 properties. Trust that the market would reward us eventually, right? Like get over those fears that, hey, we're not big enough, we're not good enough remodelers, we're bad at interior design, or whatever the reason you got. Doesn't matter. You're good enough,
Yeah. If you trust it and you take action. Those are the 2 points that I got from you. I was going to ask as like a takeaway, what advice would you give a new investor coming in? And I'm assuming it's trust your process and take action.
Yeah, trust the process. Get a mentor, get a coach.
Yes.
Tag along to somebody who's good at it already. Whether it's a family member or a friend. I'm sure there's someone, Uncle Chucky or Aunt Susan who knows how to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Open your mouth and ask for help.
Yeah.
Okay. Trial and error is not good to do with your life savings. Okay.
Yes, that is true.
Someone who knows what they're doing. Maybe you can even start out being partners with them, right? You don't have to do it all by yourself. You can learn as a partner, as a stakeholder, and then branch off. Plenty of people do that. Spread the responsibility. Maybe you have a family member who's a contractor or a realtor, someone who's already in the business. That's also a great way to start. So you're not so green, right? Because there's so many ways to get taken in this industry. I just want to be straight up there. There's so many pitfalls. Don't want to scare you, but you want to avoid them by having a guide.
Yeah, that mentor thing is huge. And it was actually something that I bypassed, even that I did, because to get into real estate, I went and looked at a duplex, and the broker who showed it to me ended up being my mentor. I worked for him for free for a while I was getting things started, doing pretty much any paperwork or odd job that he had, just to get involved in real estate and be around the culture and learn the terms and see contracts and those little bits of things. I mean, went a long way. And it didn't cost me anything. It's not like I paid thousands of dollars for school. It cost me my time, but there's a lot worse things I could have done with my time than start a career.
I love that. Yeah, you can be an intern, you can be a bird dog for any one of these top, producers in the area, and that's invaluable because you're never going to learn that in school. You're never going to learn practical knowledge in school. It's real industry market knowledge that you need to get ahead.
Yeah, and even, I mean, you're a broker. I'm a real estate agent. Even from taking those tests to real life practice of like what you do in this situation or what this means in a textbook and how do you apply it in real life are two vastly different things.
Like a driver's license. What does it teach you to pass the test, right?
Yeah, it doesn't teach you to drive the car.
At least with the contractor's license, you have to have 4 or 5 years of actual apprentice experience before they let you get your license. Because I mean, you are dealing with people's life, health, and safety. So I'm glad they do that,
For general contracting?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have that out here.
Oh, really?
Nope. Because I'm a general contractor. I didn't have any apprenticeship. I had to study and take my test. And man, I thought the WRA training material was dry. The general contracting it was a gray screen. So like, what is it, 72 or 90 something hours of just a gray screen that you just read and click multiple choice. Man, there's no bells and whistles to that thing at all.
Well, you got through it though.
Yeah, you get through it. Exactly. But yeah, reading the code book was my nightly reading for a while.
Oh, I had bought all those cheat sheets from Home Depot, those color-coded flip guides.
Yeah.
I was first starting out. I had to use that. That was my crutch.
Yeah.
I had to use those, and eventually I don't need anything. I was the dummy who bought every single gadget that you needed. I bought like a huge drywall sander with like a huge bazooka attachment, the vacuum. I had all these gadgets, and I'd roll up to the job site, and the pros, the vets would be like, I got a tool belt, I got a hammer, I got a triangle square, and I got my skill saw. What the hell this guy bring? They do everything with a skill saw. They just pull the guide back, and it's like it's everything. It's a reciprocating saw. It's like you scale it down once you actually know what you're doing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Nice. Yeah.
Man. Well, I'm super happy you came on here. I want you to be able to tell us about your books real quick before we have to jump off. Passive Wealth is your most recent book, correct?
That's my first book.
That's the first one. Okay.
7 Step Passive Wealth on Amazon. It's audiobook. Audiobook's going to be ready in a couple weeks. It's just
Okay.
approval, and it's on Kindle as well.
Do you narrate those?
I don't have an audio studio. Like it doesn't.
Okay.
Like you can hear my refrigerator humming. Those kind of things don't work with Audible standards. So it has to be done by a pro.
I gotcha. Yeah, because there's some authors that do their own audio and some that don't. But well, awesome. We will link to your books on the show notes. You said you're on social media as well. Is that the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, passive wealth coaching on all platforms.
Awesome. And then you do speeches. Do you do speeches across the country, or are you just primarily in California?
Yeah, I was just in Atlanta about 3 weeks ago, and I'm waiting to get booking confirmation on Philly, Amelia Island, Florida. I forgot, maybe one more in Texas, and then Napa, California. But yeah, the way speaking gigs go is you apply way ahead of time, like 6 to 9 months ahead of time, then you just wait to see if you get booked.
Okay. Awesome. And then can you find on your social media where you're going to be speaking, or is that a website?
Yeah, I post that on my Facebook business page.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, we'll link all that to the show notes so people get in a hold of you and in touch if they have to ask you any questions. With your vast background of real estate, I feel like you would be a very, very good person to reach out to. So anybody listening, if you have questions, reach out to Rob.
I'm happy to help. Even beginners, bring it on.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you for doing that as well for all the listeners. That's much appreciated. Other than that, I'm gonna let you get on with your weekend. It's your Friday, your morning where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like getting ready. I'm getting ready to pick up my son from school here eventually.
Yeah, me too.
So
week off. A whole week off next week.
Oh wow.
Oh really? Yeah, we have 3 days off next week.
Yeah. Well,
nice.
Unless it snows hard, then you get the whole week off.
I don't see any snow. We might get rain next week, but that's about it.
Are you guys local to each other?
About 50 minutes apart from each other.
Not bad.
So if Chicago, Milwaukee. So he's right in between Chicago and Milwaukee.
Okay.
And then I'm in between Milwaukee and Madison.
Okay.
So that's kind of how we all kind of position ourselves here.
There's a lot of nice lakes out here that you could buy a house on the lake and probably get a lot more for your money than you would in Cali. Money would go a lot further too, probably.
Yeah, it's 2.5 out here starting. Well, there's not a lot of riverfront here in the Bay Area. I don't want to be in the woods somewhere with no running water and an outhouse. I want to be actually in the suburbs, you know? So
Yeah.
I can't be too far in case I need to actually visit a job site, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for coming on. I appreciate the time. We'll connect soon because I want to see, are you still growing the portfolio, or is that kind of a passive thing for you?
Yeah, we're still growing the portfolio. I just have my wife is the head of that operation right now.
Nice. Well, maybe next time when we get an update, she can come on and tell us how it's all going. Because I'm believing that your portfolio is going to grow here in the next, I'd say, year or two when things become unfrozen.
Yeah, we have a lot of things cooking at all times. We got to have at least 5 horses running.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a few of them will bring the gold home.
Right.
Yeah. Keeps you guys young. Just keep things going.
Right.
Yes. Just keep them running. Good things will happen.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Have a good rest of your day. Have a good weekend. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, guys. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
No problem.